like Attila the Hun. I came here to conquer. Lanes bring the beef, I tell them no donker. They wanna play games, I shock them like Blanca. They still rudimentary, I'm tough like Tonka. And let me get this off my chest. I'm hearing going nowhere, so haters take a rest. Ain't nothing handed, just working hard, sweating. You can take that to the bank. I know I did bet.
Welcome to episode 13 of Eye of the Storm. I, of course, am your host, Tempestt. Please be sure to hit the like button, and if you're new and like the content, be sure to leave a sub and hit the notification bell to know when the next video goes up. It really does help the channel out. And also, if you haven't seen the previous episodes, feel free to give that a look as well. I did start a playlist for ease of access. I also do things like my own music, montages, and other things of the sort. I even did a recent meme video. Feel free to check that one out too. And with that out of the way, let's get started. First off, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered is out now. So, my excitement cannot be overstated. Also, I was thinking of doing something new with the channel as well, something anime related. Now, it is one of those things that I also do. So I was thinking, maybe reviews, anime news, suggestions, things like that. Just gonna try to get an idea to get you some more content while I work on my health to get back to the art of streaming. But let me know what you guys think about that. You'll get more of me in that case too, just so you can get to know me a bit more. I'll try to get some gameplay recorded too, to help with the content. Again, still getting my health in order, but we'll do what we can. But let's talk peripherals. Now, this is our subject for today. Is there a better peripheral or what? Well, first off, let's go over some of the different things you can use. There's the most common peripheral of all, a pad, or, just plain old controller. If you do MMOs, MOBAs, or shooters, there's the mouse and keyboard. For fighting games and other types of games, there's the arcade stick, the hitbox, the cross-up, the mixbox, and a few others that are just like that. So, with so many peripherals out there, what is the best? What should you use? Is there even a best? Well, depending on what you play, there might be a definitive answer, or not. But let's talk about the mouse and keyboard versus the controller just to start out, and we'll see what we get for our answer. Now, when it comes to shooters, most would agree that while it may take some getting used to, the mouse and keyboard combination is leagues better than using a controller. However, it's not to say that you can't play the game effectively with the latter. With the way that aim assist is being implemented with certain games and all the adjustments being made, the line can be blurred in some cases, so it does seem like things are more mixed nowadays. However, in discussing with most of my friends within the community and the different communities there, mouse and keyboard does still seem to be the most optimal, if you will, way to do things. Now, at least for competitive play, it would be that as it stands. In most situations, anyway. I have heard that Smite is actually kind of better for a controller, and in some cases of certain MMOs, like Dungeon Fighter Online, controllers, might be the better option as well. Now, in terms of controller versus arcade stick and the other offshoots of it, when it comes down to it, this might just depend on the era you grew up in. Now, let me explain exactly what I mean by this. Remember the news episode we went over where we discussed the roundtable discussion between the fighting game companies? A lot of games were designed with the arcade stick peripheral in mind. Plus, keep in mind that a lot of games were in the arcades first before consoles were a thing. And, tend to therefore, they just come out before consoles in the first place. So if you grew up in the arcade era, it's possible that the arcade stick might just be better for you. This isn't just for fighting games either. There were platformers and beat 'em ups and all these other things. Now, as things move on, you might have had less experience in the arcades as a whole. Once again, we went over the arcade culture in previous episodes. So honestly, those who are, they might be born closer to the late 80s, early 90s, they may be more suited to the controller. And then of course, the keyboard has become a thing in more recent years, and a lot of people do their gaming on keyboards nowadays, even for their retro games. So that's actually a very interesting thing. Like I said, it kind of depends on the era you grew up in. Now, moving back into the subject at hand, for fighting games in particular, the situation is in kind of a precarious position, really. As mentioned at the roundtable, the older fighting games were most definitely designed for the arcade experience. Things like double tapping, the execution barrier was a big thing and much more difficult to perform on the controller back in the day. Now, games are designed to be a bit more friendly to those who are playing on pad. Heck, even some arcade machines have like a USB port, so you can plug your pad into it if you're not capable of playing on an arcade stick, or you just don't want to. They've actually made a lot of really big accommodations for like American players and other players from the West who just aren't big on using arcade sticks. So while arcade stick may still be the way to go for the most part, pad is definitely a good option if you're more comfortable with it. Then of course, with people starting to use keyboards, other peripherals have been created that help. It's also a bit easier on the wrist in my opinion. Having been using different ones in my time, things like Hitbox, Cross-Up, Mixbox, they're an interesting hybrid of the keyboard and an arcade stick, which can offer some advantages in accuracy, but in no way will it really give you an advantage otherwise, as opposed to just making you more responsible for your own successes and errors. Like any peripheral, when you learn a new one, it may feel like, oh man, this is leagues better than the rest, but really, a lot of times it's just you have a bit more control over what you're doing, and sometimes a lot of problems you had in the past, you can't use the same excuses anymore. Side note, rhythm games, they generally have a consensus that keyboard may be the way to go as well, as opposed to, dance pad or controller, which I personally use for, that. But that's just me. In conclusion, it does seem like the keyboard may actually be the MVP, aka most valuable peripheral. But in the end, it does come down to preference and comfortability. I was a pad player probably until about 2008, 2009. I wouldn't say exclusively pad player, but I'd say about 95% of the time I was on pad. And then I became a stick player. But now I use Hitbox because I just wanted to do something different. I see the advantages and disadvantages of all three, and if I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably still best in execution-wise on an arcade stick. But I've messed with the Mixbox, and I would love to try the Cross-Up. Hey, Sora and Hitbox guys, hey, hit me up. I definitely want to give it a try and give you guys an honest opinion. I still use pad for most of my gaming preferences, unless I like to use mouse, or unless I have to use mouse and keyboard. Like say with Ragnarok Online or something to that effect. Now I can't tell you what to use, but I can tell you that there really isn't a wrong way to play these games. There are different ways to play so people can be as comfortable as possible when doing this thing that we enjoy called gaming. That's about it for now. Remember, you can always suggest new ideas for future episodes, as well as submit gameplay, footage, or clips. Be sure to let me know your thoughts and own personal preference when it comes to the peripheral that you use for your own gaming experience. Discuss with each other in the comments, and if you like the content, consider subscribing and share with a friend. And remember, take care of each other, be safe, press buttons, and catch you on the flip side.
You want says, best believe that you'll catch one. Represent my gang, head shaking like I'm Gladiator. Beat the beat ferociously, I'm vicious like the Manitan. Probably flavor rapid and just rolling like a Don Fin. I'm flame body, everything I do is guaranteed high. Y'all gon' keep this record spinning heavy like a poker stop. I grasp not